We're breaking the internet. Everyone's at home right now.
I know
So
that's even in my house, it's like that.
yeah, yeah, it's everywhere. No one's got anything to do right now.
It's funny. I went to yesterday. I went to go get something to drink. Like went to a liquor store, and the guy was telling me there that they've been busy like from morning to like I went in the evening, so from
Yeah.
morning to that time. He says nobody has anything to do. Everyone's at home, so they just go get liquor and go back home. So.
Yeah, and a friend of mine told me that like all of the snacks are being like sold more than any like
Hmm.
normal food. It's just like junk food, chips, ice
Hmm.
cream.
Yeah, they say that like like during depression times, like liquor and the movie tickets go up. But I guess in our case, we can't go to the movies, so you know you got to find something else. Um,
Yeah, this.
how is that? How's it like, kind of like affecting you?
I teach yoga, so
Hmm.
I've still been going to the yoga studio and just doing like Facebook Lives to
Hmm.
teach. But just today, I decided not to do that anymore because just in case, like if I go into the studio and then someone goes in after me, I don't want to be like transmitting germs and stuff. Just like I feel healthy, but I don't want to be the person spreading it around.
Yeah.
I live next door to my mom too, and she's a
Hmm.
senior. I don't want to bring anything back home to her.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's like that for a lot of people, especially once you get into like your like 20, late 20s, early 30s, your parents are kind of older. So, and
Yeah.
if you're out and about, you might be fine, but then bring something, back to them. It's kind of scary.
And today they're saying that there's more cases being found in the States and stuff.
So where are you at?
I'm like in Windsor. So like Windsor is just across the border from Detroit.
Hmm.
So the problem with us is we have a lot of cross-border workers, like nurses and hospital staff and stuff.
Sure.
So there's a lot of people going back and forth. So like the Canadian, like Ontario isn't too bad, the amount of cases confirmed, but within the next few days, it's just going to get worse
Yeah.
because people are coming back from like vacationing and people travel to the Detroit airport, you know,
Hmm.
through traveling. So.
Yeah, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and we like literally 3 weeks ago or so started off with one person. Yesterday they hit like 1,100.
Oh my God.
So it's like it's been exponentially like jumping, up and up and up. So we'll
And there's
see.
money now,
Say
like
what?
on cash. They're saying it's on like cash. So like don't use cards or don't use cash, just use cards.
Yeah, excuse me. Apparently, it's like it lives on surfaces. So like even like clothes and things of that nature. Just you could have it on you and then not realizing and get it later or whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're also saying that yesterday I saw this thing on the news. It was interesting. A girl who was really young, like 17, 18, and she, because they kept saying, oh, well, young people can't get it. So she was all like, oh, I'm okay. She put like a IG post or something like that video. Now she's on a ventilator. So,
Gosh, that's
you know,
terrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
My friend was just telling me that she knows of two people that are confirmed cases, but they have no symptoms.
yeah, like they're asymptomatic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all they're
So,
doing is just giving it to other people without realizing it.
yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah, that's a horrible situation. And I mean, apparently what they're saying is like China is able to stop like for the majority of like new cases, but they're also like no negotiating in China. They're on a strict quarantine. And
Mm.
here it's more like a suggestion, and a lot of people are just doing what they want to do anyway. And
Right.
so it's hard to stop that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you so how did you get like into training and fitness? And are you compete in the NPC too?
No, I'm Canadian.
Okay.
So no,
So does the NPC not operate in Canada?
I don't think so. I mean, if it does, I don't know.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
are you competitive?
Yeah. So
Okay.
my last show was last year in June. I did the nationals. I placed second in open figure and overall in masters.
Hmm. Okay.
But this show didn't give pro cards to the masters
Uh-huh.
division. So I don't have a pro card. It's happened so many times that
That's
I
so
played.
crazy.
Yeah, really, so stupid. Like I'll place first, but not like win the overall. And then when I win the overall, that show they're not giving the pro card.
That's so crazy. I mean, like if it's a, you know, if it's a national show or whatnot, and you're winning first, you should get a pro card. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. Then what's the
This year they're doing it though.
say what?
This year they're doing it.
Oh, the year that they're not having shows.
Not the year that they're canceling them all. Yeah. I was dieting for it. I started dieting a couple of weeks ago
Mm,
because it's 11 weeks from today.
right.
And then this whole like Corona thing started. So I was like, well, I'm just going to start eating. So I
Mhm.
kind of gave up. I don't know. I talked to, Jen Reese. I talked to
Yeah.
her a couple days ago and she's like, well, you know what? We might as well just like try, because it's not canceled yet.
Right.
They might cancel it, they'll have to let us know within the next like 4 weeks or so. But
Right. I think it's like a strong assumption that a lot of these things are going to be canceled.
yeah,
You know, I mean, they put the like general date of like shows and other things non-bodybuilding related as in like in May, like May 10th or something like that. But if it continues, I mean, they're just going to postpone that. It's going to go further and further out. Yeah, and it's a tough place to be as a competitor because I mean, what do you do? Like what do you do? How
like
do
we can't
you
go to the gym, right?
right,
Like I have like a treadmill and an elliptical and a bike and some like 50-pound weights, like,
right,
so I could get around it, but
right.
no.
Well, and then imagine if you're a person like that's trying to grow, like if you're a guy that's trying to grow into a show, or if you're trying to put on new muscle, how do you do that at home? Unless you have like a full gym, you won't have enough weight to do that. So
Oh,
yesterday we did like a makeshift gym, in our garage. Me and my wife did like a little workout, and it was good for what it was. Don't get me wrong, but it's nothing compared to like how I train at the gym. So
yeah, yeah, I know. It's because if I can do the show, I'd like to, but of course you don't want to just do it just to do it. Like you actually want to look good, right?
right, right.
There's one in October, so if I don't do the one in June, I'll probably do one in October if that's happening.
Yeah. Do you generally like stay fairly lean throughout the year?
20 pounds over my contest weight.
That's not bad. Yeah, I
That's not bad.
mean, that's not terrible. It could be worse.
Yeah, yeah, it fluctuates.
So what do you like step on stage at usually?
Like 118,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, depends on how much water I lose. But I try to be like around 119, 120 before I start like water depleting.
hmm And how did you get into training in general, like weightlifting and so forth?
I was in high school and I just really liked the look of it. I had friends that had bodybuilding magazines. So I just one day just started going to the gym. I went to the YMCA and just started training myself. So,
hmm
like on the machines, they'd have like the example of like what it's supposed to look like, what
Right.
muscles worked. So I just like did that for probably a couple years. I was like 16, 17. And then, I don't know, just started
hmm
asking around. I didn't even know what like protein was. You know what I
Right.
mean? I was eating hot dogs. And
Yeah. Yeah.
after my workout, I'd go to the 7-Eleven and get a hot dog. Like
Nice.
I really had no idea. But I mean, that's I think the best way to learn is to go through the bad stuff, like to do it wrong and then figure out, oh yeah, that's like,
Sure. Sure.
yeah.
When I was younger, like in my early 20s and late, like 17, 18, even though I did things the wrong way, I still made like a lot of gains because
Yeah.
it's just you're so young and everything's so fresh. It doesn't matter. Your metabolism is, revved up.
Oh yeah.
You can eat whatever and still be like successful. You get a little
Yeah.
older, it doesn't work that way, does it?
All the little things make a huge difference now.
So you started training. At what point did you decide that you wanted to compete, or did you start competing later on?
I started competing, I think I was 22 when I did my first show. I had my training partner, she was, her boyfriend was competing for the first time. So he kind of walked me through it. So he helped me a lot with that. I placed second in bodybuilding. I was 108 pounds. And then I just did a few more competitions and always came first or second. And then got up to, nationals, did that again, first or second. And then I switched to figure just because the bodybuilding, like I was always natural and the bodybuilding was too big.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to get there naturally.
Right. I mean, it was getting kind of intense, the transition from women's bodybuilding to what it is now. I mean, it's because you look at like who was considered a women's bodybuilder back then. I mean, they're like maybe figure girls now, maybe even like somewhere in between a bikini and figure, like the look now, I mean, they're gigantic. Like,
but when I first started, like the women like Linda Murray and stuff, like she's big.
Right.
But then I continued like doing the competitions. Then Kim Chizevsky came out and she was like enormous, right? So then the women getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, I was 112 pounds at my second show, There was no way I was going to get up to 160.
No, especially not naturally. That's, yeah.
Yeah, no. So figure it was perfect for me. I actually stopped working out for a year before I did my first figure competition because I just did yoga like every day. So I wanted to size down because even then figure girls were tiny, like small bikini girls are now.
Right.
Yeah. They didn't want you to be too lean. Like the sport has changed so much. They don't want you to have big legs now. They want you to have big legs. They don't want you to be too lean, but you need to be lean. Like, so, and I just keep on chasing it. Okay, well, what do they want this year?
Yeah.
So like one time I stopped training legs completely because I didn't want to have big legs. And now they want big legs. So I training legs 3 times a week.
Yeah, so. It's crazy how that is because that's why a lot of people that I've spoke to, and I don't want to say a lot, but some people that I've spoke to have kind of like backed off from competing because you end up just chasing this like idea that keeps changing on a every time.
Yeah, from last year. This year it's different, and you need time to get to that shape.
Sure.
And I remember I posted it on Facebook. I'm like, does anyone know like what the criteria is for figure this year? And everyone was like, well, just do what you want to do. Just look the way you want to look. Right. It's like, but I'm not doing this for me. Like I'm doing this to win. Like,
right.
If I'm going to put the effort into it, I'll put the effort into what I'm looking like.
Right.
But you can never get ahead of the curve.
It's tough. It's almost like if they find a person that they like, and then that person gets rewarded with the win or the whatever overall, whether it's the Olympia or whatnot, and then everyone else has to kind of follow that mold, or at least tries to, and then eventually that person loses and someone else comes into play, and then everyone tries to follow that mold.
Yeah, that's true.
But overall, I mean, everyone has gotten bigger, right? I mean, wouldn't you say? I mean,
but then they had those years where they're like, okay, now figure we don't want them to be too big. Like I remember maybe 5 or 4 years ago, they came out with something saying they wanted the figure girls to be smaller. That happened like 1 year, and then it just like went back bigger again. Yeah. And then the same with the leanness. Like they say they don't want you to be too lean, but then like everyone's going up there like shredded.
Yeah, I don't understand they don't want you to be too lean because, like you said, everything I see, everyone is very, very lean.
Now, yes. But back in the day, they wanted you to be moist was the word that they said, moist. Yeah, like they didn't want you to be like a bodybuilder. They were trying to have differentiation, right? So that's why they're like, okay, well, the figure girls are going to be soft. And then this is, again, before bikini came out even.
Isn't that like that was the kind of issue with like women's physique, that they came out with that, and then people were like, well, eventually slowly it started becoming more and more like women's bodybuilding, and then it's kind of like, well, now you're like, what's going on, because you have 2 women's bodybuilding divisions essentially. So
well, at my show last year, a girl did the figure and the body. No, she did the bodybuilding and the physique.
Yeah, that's
like at a national level show too. Like that is obviously telling you that
there's crossover there. Like, right, for sure. So at what age does masters start? Like when do you start qualifying to compete? What is it?
30, 35. For women, it's 35. For men, it's 40.
Hmm.
For master.
Yeah, but you can compete in a non-masters
Yeah.
as well. Okay.
Yeah. So I placed second in the regular.
Open. Yeah.
The girl who won that won her pro card. The girl who beat me.
And
And then
they only gave one on that one, I guess.
they only gave it to the open division. They didn't give it to the masters division.
Yeah. Strange. You have to have a reward. I mean, you have to have a reward for winning. I mean, outside of a trophy, you know.
You know what? I never said anything. You know what I mean? Like everyone knows it's not fair, but like whatever.
What can you do?
Give me a pro card. You know, like whatever.
Yeah.
It's not going to change my life if I get a pro card or not. I'm still gonna, do what I do. It's just It would be nice because I put so much effort into it all these years. But whatever. It's fine.
How do you prep for a show? Like, what is your transition between like the weeks? Do you usually keep like carbs in all throughout the prep, or how does that work for you?
I train myself, and I always do like a different type of. I mean, it's always going to be low carb. Last year I did a little bit more higher fat, but I'll carb cycle. I'll take my calendar, my book, and then I'll, so 12 weeks I start, and then, 8 weeks I'll go, okay, well, I'll cut out this amount of whatever carbohydrates or this amount of, I'll go 12 weeks ahead. So that way, when the time comes, I'm not in my head. Like I already know this is the plan and this is what I'm going to stick to. Sometimes I'll go like no carbs at all for a few days or a week and then just have some in and then do it again just to see how my body reacts. But as our bodies grow, as we get older, things change. Like the way that our bodies absorb carbohydrates and the way that we deal with, fats and that sort of thing changes. So I can't do the same like diet that I did 20 years ago. It just wouldn't, be the most healthy. And I think that's another reason why I choose to do my own diet, because I trust myself more than someone else.
Sure. Well, you know yourself better. I mean, you don't want somebody to push you and then you end up like, with kidney failure.
Yeah. Or winning and then it's all their fault that I won, after all years, like, no, I don't want it to be taken away from me.
Sure. You want the glory for yourself. I get it. So are you originally from Canada or were you from somewhere? Okay. What about like ethnically speaking?
I'm Italian.
Italian. Okay. Cool. So your parents are from Italy or no?
Yeah. They were there when they were like teenagers.
Gotcha. So any plans to move, or are you just gonna stay in Canada?
I'll probably stay in Canada, just because it's I don't know, where am I going to go? But I can't move to the States.
No, don't go to Italy now. That's for sure.
Gosh, no, we were in Italy maybe a year ago, not too long ago. It's beautiful, but yeah, right now I have friends there, and they're saying like they can't even leave the house.
Oh, they're losing. From what I heard on the news, they're losing hundreds a day. Like they had some days where they lost hundreds of people. Like those are tremendous numbers. It's insane, terrible.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Do you still have family there that you keep in contact with?
Yeah. But here in Windsor, it's just like my immediate family, like my parents, and they're getting older, so that's why I'm here, just to kind of help them out. But it's not my favorite place to live, but it's okay. Windsor's just a small town. There's not a lot going on, but it's a place to live.
My only experience with Canada is I went to Quebec, which was, I mean, it was good. We had a good time. Everything was awesome. It was funny because you could feel the disdain for like English speakers there, and like, so I'm Russian, And so I went with my family, like we were speaking English with them, but then when they heard like store owners or whatever employees heard us speak Russian, they were like, all of a sudden their whole mood changed. They started getting much nicer to us.
Funny.
Yeah, it is funny how that works, you know. But,
Yeah. I never had that experience. I heard that though, but I never
yeah,
had that experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't crazy. I mean, it wasn't like we were, you know, but it's just the way, you know, you get spoken to is a little different. But
Yeah.
so where do you train out of now? What, YMCA still?
No, so now I train at it's called Fit for Less.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Good Life Corporation. I work at Good Life. I teach yoga there,
Okay.
but I train at a different gym just
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, be not around people that I know too much. You know, like if I work there, people are gonna just like come up to me and ask questions and stuff like that. I
Sure.
just so
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you want that time to yourself so you can focus. There's nothing worse than like trying to train. And then it happens sometimes to me. You know, I don't have what people would say an inviting face. So like it doesn't always happen to me, but because I'm pretty straight faced. But if it's someone I know, they'll come up and they'll say, you know, what's up? And then it'll extend to like a long conversation. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I hate to be that guy to say, hey, like we got to stop, you know, but
You know what I do? I just get back on the machine and start working out. Like they can keep talking to me, but like I'm just gonna keep going
some people
because
do.
yeah, and they will. Yeah, they'll keep talking, and that's fine. Like if you want to keep talking, that's fine. But like I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
miss my workout. But there's people there that go there just to hang out.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. Like
So go ahead.
yeah, like 80% of any gym anywhere for the most part is people just hanging out and
I think
yeah, trying to meet people, you know. So,
yes, and that's cool.
yeah, whatever. Oh man, but it's interesting how like bodybuilding and everything has changed because now like we don't even have like magazines, you know. Well,
Yeah,
even when I was coming up, you know, the magazines were huge because that's how I
yeah,
would see everybody, and you would find out like who the Olympia champ was like 3 months later, you know.
yeah.
Now, you know, they're
It's
gone.
Yeah, I just did I recently did a blog post about that, how when we were younger and we needed to find information, we read it out of a magazine that was written by a professional,
Right.
you know. And now if you want something, you go on Instagram, you've got 100,000 different, you know, models like that have done one show, and then now they're trying to train people. So there's so much bad information out there now, whereas before it's like there was only a small section that you could get it from, but it was good information. So yeah, times are way different now.
Crazy, isn't it? I think my camera just froze up. I've noticed I've been in the same position.
Yeah, your camera has been frozen for a while. There you go.
I changed it. Let me see if I can go back to that one. Yeah, still frozen. Okay. All right. Well, let's just do this then. Weird how that works. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, definitely everything has changed, and anybody and everybody can put up a, you know, post or you know, everybody's a bodybuilder now.
Yeah, and people believe like, oh, well, she looked that, you know, like that on stage once, so she knows what she's doing. You know, like it's really weird. Or people will go with like the cheapest coach, you know, and that's the other thing too. It's just people are offering stuff saying that they're professionals, but they're not, and people are believing it because it's, you know, $50 cheaper than the person who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about coaches? Do you think they're necessary? You've been doing it yourself.
I've been doing it myself. I don't think they're necessary. For most people, they should get a coach. I was lucky because I had friends in the sport and I never really needed to get a specific coach. I would just ask people what their opinions were, and then I would try to formulate something for myself, which is how I learned, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that the problem with, especially if like for a level like 1 show, like learn how to do it yourself, you know, like read about it. And I know there's a lot of people who aren't interested in trying to learn. Then in that case, just do your research on who you're going to get to train you. I've had so many people tell me that they've had these trainers who have been eating rice cakes and egg whites for like 8 weeks. You know, like it yeah, you might lose weight, but you're going to feel like garbage.
Yeah, that's a rough existence for sure.
Yeah. So I don't like, I personally don't have a coach. You know, I gave you a few reasons already. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be able to learn. And they're so expensive.
Oh.
You know, it's a hobby. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to spend $5,000 for a hobby.
Bodybuilding is a very expensive sport in general.
Exactly. Especially to spend $1,000 to enter the show.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, even you're talking about the pro card, from my understanding is you have to pay every year to keep that pro card. So it's like you're a professional athlete, you won, but you still have to pay to, you know, to stay in that field. So
Yeah.
Crazy. So anyways, but, so did you decide that you're gonna, I think we kind of left off this subject. You said that you started back eating, but then you talked to Jen. Are you going to continue, like, you know, dieting, or what's going to happen with that?
No, probably not. No, because to be like hungry like that and just sit around all day, there's nothing to do at home.
Right.
I mean, and then not knowing if there's an actual show, like you don't have that drive, that same drive. I'm not going to go overboard like I did like the first few days when I decided, okay, forget it. Like ice cream and popcorn.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, I'm keeping it, I'm eating healthy food. I'm just not counting my calories.
Right. You're not limiting yourself necessarily. No. Yeah. That's, I mean, it's tough. It's tough when there's no clear road ahead of you, you know. It's like, because it's not easy. Like, it's a lot of suffering. That's what people don't understand. It's you have people come up, you know, to you and, oh, how do I look like you? Well, you know, it's a lot of work, especially like, so for me, like I'm a little, you know, on the heavier side. I'm 260. So people will come up and they'll be like, oh, how do I get as big as you? Right. And it's like, well, they don't want to hear that I've been training since I was 15, and then progressively, like, you know, I added the weight on and so forth. Like, they want to hear now, like, how do I do it now? And it doesn't work that way, you know.
Oh, but I think that's with anything, like anything, you know, that people want to achieve. It's that everyone wants like the fastest way to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your idea as far as like an overall, like, healthy diet, non-competitively speaking? Like, if someone asks you, you know, like, what should I eat to stay healthy? Like, what is your idea of that?
Everyone's different, for sure, right? And then, as I said earlier, as you grow older, your body changes. You can develop allergies. Allergies can go away. So for me personally, I eat a lot of salads, a lot of like organic meat as much as possible. So chicken, beef. I don't do anything extreme. So I don't do anything like, if I do keto, it'll be like, you know, for the show or whatever. But thing is, sometimes I do the intermittent fasting. I did that for a while, where my first meal would be at noon. So sometimes I do fall into that again, just because I like to do my yoga on an empty stomach in the morning. So yeah, I think a balance of like high protein, moderate carb, moderate fat.
So just a balanced diet overall.
Yeah.
You know, this keto thing is going around pretty fast. A lot of people are jumping on board. It's becoming quite a fad.
And it's working for a lot of people.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, like, now there's like keto drinks. Have you seen them? Like
Yeah.
there's drinks that say they're keto, but some of them are like have sugar in them. I'm like, but that that's not how keto works. Then it's
Uh, I saw keto mayonnaise. But like, isn't that what mayonnaise is? It's just fat. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I didn't even look at it, but I'm assuming like if they add MCTs to it, then they call it keto or
Right,
something.
right, right, right. It's become it's just a way to sell the product now. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I did keto for a little bit, and it I mean it definitely worked for me. And then what happened was I came off of it, and then I never went back on. And it's
Did you blow up once
hmm?
you went? Did you blow up once you went
Not
back?
excessively, but yeah, I mean I definitely put on some weight afterwards,
Yeah.
but I liked the way I felt on keto. It wasn't terrible. It's just initially it was kind of tough, and then it kind of mellowed out.
Yeah. Like anything I
Yeah.
try. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you coach? I know you teach yoga. Do you coach like competitors?
No, no,
No.
I would not have that responsibility. No way. No. Especially because I haven't had a coach myself, so I wouldn't even know like how to coach someone
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
something like that. Like I can coach someone through a workout and I can help someone, eat better.
Hmm.
But to do like a full 12 week,
Yeah.
I don't
That.
want like I said, that responsibility is too much.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough because it's like it seems like no matter what happens, you're gonna get blamed if something goes wrong. So even if it wasn't, you're not the one eating, you're just telling them what to eat. But if it goes wrong, you're the one that's gonna get blamed
Yeah.
for it and stuck with that.
I know one guy, he was, training people, but he was
Hmm.
giving everybody the same diet, like the girls and the guys, the
Oh
exact,
wow.
yeah. And it was like the old school bodybuilder diet, like,
Mm-hmm.
like the egg whites and the freaking rice cakes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's, it's crazy because I also work in a health food store. So like I know a lot of the competitors and stuff when they come in, and like this one girl came in and she was talking about this trainer. There was a guy in the store was like, the same thing happened to me, the same trainer. Like the guy just like took off like before the show, like 2 weeks before the show. He was like, I'm gonna be going away. Here's your stuff for peak week. See you later. Good luck. It's just, and they paid him for that, and it's just it's just funny how people just fall into they just want someone to tell them what to do,
Right. Right. It's unbelievable because I think like when I look at the fitness like market, so to speak, I see it being oversaturated. So when I look at it, so I don't coach, I don't train, nothing like that. So when I look at it, and even the thought comes through my mind of trying to coach or get into it, I always think, oh, it's so oversaturated. How could you ever like make money, right? But then you hear people like that who like really don't do much of anything, and they get paid. So I'm like, how's
I
that
know.
work?
Yeah, I know. I
Crazy.
think that those people though won't be they're not going to do this for a long time. Everyone's going to figure it out. Like I
Hmm.
heard about this guy that quickly.
Sure.
Like it's going to go around, and unless he gets better at it, or unless people don't like do their research.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shady market in a way. Because everybody's a coach, just like everybody's a bodybuilder, everybody's a coach. I mean, you have
Yeah.
uh, any Instagram page that you look at, it says trainer or
Yeah.
coach or something to that effect. So generally speaking, if we were to have a season, like how many shows do you try to do a year?
I retired about 3 years ago. So I don't know. Every show I do, I say is my last one. Every show.
They say bodybuilders never really retire; they just take breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. So like this, I did the show last year. Prior to that, it was 2 years ago. And then prior to that, I think it was 3 or 4 years.
Hmm.
But then I've had years where I've done like three.
I
And
gotcha. I gotcha. So it's sporadic. It's not like you have like certain amount. You're like, I'm gonna hit this amount of shows this year.
no, like for me, I wanted to do the June show and be done.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll think about it maybe next year
Right.
or the year after. But now that the June show isn't happening, I'm looking at October. But it's not my whole life. You know,
Right.
I love
Right.
it, but I don't base everything around it. I used to,
Mm-hmm.
but not now. Now I just really enjoy it. I enjoy the process. I mean, obviously it's freaking hard and I
Right.
hate time, but I just, it's in me. I've been doing it since I was so young, right? So I
Right.
just,
So why do you think it's changed for you? Is it just the fact of getting a little older, like other priorities, or what?
older, I don't know, like your life is really altered, you know, like friends and going out. It's not that I'm a big goer outer, but I don't know. I just the drive has always been there, that to get on stage and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I've done it like so many times that
Right.
I love it, but it's not as much of a driving force like it
It's
used to
not
be.
as exciting anymore for you.
It's totally exciting. I
Mm-hmm.
really really love it, but I don't know. I just feel like how many times you need to get on stage,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
especially if it's always the same outcome. Like I'm never getting ahead. So
So yeah, I mean, I guess if you're winning and not getting your pro card, I guess that can be frustrating.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
Do you have kids or anything like that?
No.
No. Okay. So you just hanging out, just doing your thing.
Yeah, I work and
Mm-hmm.
I love teaching. Like that's my passion. I love learning. So
Mm-hmm.
I travel a lot. I've been to India 3 times. I've been to Thailand a few times, like to do yoga trainings and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that.
How's
So
Thailand?
I love it.
Yeah, I hear Thailand is awesome. Like I've never been, but I hear Thailand is great.
You really need to go. Like I
Mm-hmm.
always tell people they need to go at least. You know, it's
Yeah,
easy to once you're there. The people are nice. The weather's great.
yeah.
The bugs are huge though. Like
The what?
cockroach bugs are like huge. I stayed in a hut in the
Oh,
jungle for a month for yoga teacher training,
mm,
and it was a hut, like just like sticks,
mm-hmm.
like no windows and stuff. And the cockroaches were so bad because there was frogs, there was like lizards, like in the hut.
So I ask you how Thailand is. You're like, it's great. You should go. And then you're like, hey, by the way, there's also
But the cockroaches are bad. Yeah, you just have to know that there's going to be a lot of bugs. But like all of those like warm countries are going to be like that. It depends on
Mhm.
where you stay too. Like I was staying like in a low
Right,
budget.
right, right. You're in the jungle, huh? Yeah, I mean, I heard the people there are super super nice. Like
Yeah,
really
everyone's
awesome.
really nice and everyone's so chill. You know,
Hmm.
like that's where you go on vacation because like everyone's just like hanging out.
You get to really relax because
Yeah,
I mean in the States, I don't know how it is with where you are, but in the States everything is so like fast paced. Everything is fast paced, it kind of your life kind of gets away from you. You turn
yeah.
around and it's already years have gone by.
You know, I think that this whole coronavirus thing, I think a lot of people have said this too. It's like
Hmm.
it's really just a way to get everyone to just stop and
Yeah,
like realize like you don't need to be working 3 hours a day.
right, right. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think one thing it definitely did is make people that didn't work out before work out, because I see people running outside now like all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. I don't know if it's that way where you are, but I mean, people are walking, they're like running, um, and I've never seen that before. And well, they better get the runs in, unless because they might start really quarantining people then. So
I know my friend asked to go for a walk and I was like, I don't know if we're allowed.
yeah.
He's like, well, I'm going to be. Because in some places they're not, right? In Italy, they're not
Right.
allowed.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think what it is people use the word quarantine, but they use it like not appropriately, because like quarantine is when you're like there's legitimate like enforced like,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
forcing you to stay. Like, really what we have now is just kind of like social isolation, recommendations for staying at home, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, anyways, so thanks for coming on the show. It was
Sure.
great. Do you, I know that everything's kind of, because of the coronavirus, everything's changing, but if anybody wanted to contact you for like any kind of training advice, anything like that, I know you don't coach or you don't prep
Well,
people, but.
this is what I'm trying to get off the ground.
Hmm.
I'm a bodybuilder. I'm a yoga teacher. So I'm doing yoga for bodybuilders.
Okay.
So I have a YouTube channel, and just starting out, that I have like my bodybuilder friends, and I'll
Hmm.
just be like, okay, this is how we do downward dog or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
But my passion is the two things. It's yoga,
Hmm.
fitness, bodybuilding. Like I love that. So I'm trying to put those two things together somehow. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like maybe do like one-on-one Skype calls with people, to help with, like, specifically athletes, to help with
Okay.
mobility, and balance, like especially posing on stage, like how
Hmm.
to,
Yeah.
activate parts of the body and all that.
Right, right. Well, I mean, that's a huge thing, right? Because I mean, it's one part of it is the way you look. The other part is how you present yourself, right?
Right. And not a lot of people put that much focus into stage presence.
Sure, sure. I think you're gonna have a niche there. So if somebody wanted, like again, what I was saying was if somebody, I know you don't have it off the ground, but let's say somebody wanted to be one of the first kind of people that experiences this with you, how can they contact you? What would be the best way?
I have a
Just go ahead and
website,
plug.
flexandflexibility.com is the website.
Okay.
And my email is on there, but my email is Emmanuela10@hotmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then
Awesome.
Facebook, Instagram, and all that.
Yeah. 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 Basically, you answer your DMs. Some people don't answer their DMs, which I don't blame them because, you can get some crazy things in DMs. So.
True. And then sometimes it goes to the other folder. Like, I don't know what the other
Oh
folder is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 6 months had gone by. So I think the easiest way is just to go through the website,
Yeah.
or just to Emmanuela10 at
Awesome.
Hotmail. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Manuel. I appreciate your time. I'll see you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Namaste.
Take care.